Hey there! Today I'm showing you how to paint these two landscapes with gouache. As always, I'm starting off with some washi tape to get some clean borders on the edges. And now I'm using a lot of water and a little bit of blue paint so that I get a very light blue grayish background. And then I'm mixing in a little bit more color, and eventually now I'm doing some clouds. Those are just very simple gray clouds mixing in on the wet surface so that they will blend a little bit. And on the left side, I'm creating a gradient from blue to red because it's a sunset. And here I put down water at first as well, and then I slowly blended everything in, going from top to the bottom with the blue, or rather to the middle, and doing the opposite with the red. And now I'm painting the mountains on the right side, and I'm doing this really messily, so don't stress over making it a flat surface, especially if you have cheaper gouache. It will end up looking like the one that I did here. But that doesn't matter because we're going to add a few layers. And there's this water here where everything is reflected in it, and because everything else was drying at that time, I started to paint the water first, and then later on the trees and everything that is reflected in it. So that's what I'm doing here. Just put down some blue, and now I'm mixing in a little bit of green, and again I'm using the wet on wet technique. You can do this with gouache as well as you can do it with watercolors. And now I'm adding in more texture or details to the mountain. I used a more blue tone now. I used different kinds of tones on the mountain so that it would look a little bit more realistic. And then I added in more blue and green because of course there's some greenery on there. And I just built up those colors and went on and put some more down and more. You can see it here, and you can do this quite messily because mountains are so organic. You don't have to stress over every detail here. Just put down some messy lines and texture. And now I'm starting with the mountains on the other piece, and this one is a little bit surreal looking because it's so pinkish red, but I kind of love it. And here we are again on the water, and I'm just putting down more blue and just building up the colors, going from light to darker at first, like I would do that with watercolors, and then later on sometimes I'm putting on lighter colors on top of the darker ones. And you can see here that I did this kind of gradient here again from light to dark. This is awesome to do with gouache. This works really well with gouache if you ask me. And now I started to put some darker trees or this kind of hill there with a very, very dark green tone, almost black, and creating lots of texture here. And now a little bit more details on the left mountain as well. And the beauty of that is that you can vary that as much as you want because, like I said before, mountains are quite organic and look not there are no two mountains that look the same on this earth, so you can create your own mountains and don't have to copy any mountain and just make out of it whatever you want it to be like. And then I added in a lighter green tone here. You can see now I'm starting to build lighter colors on top of darker ones. That's the beauty of gouache, that you can do this as well and not just go from light to dark. I'm just slowly building it up. Depending on the gouache that you have, you might have better quality gouache or less quality, and if it's amazing gouache you don't need a lot of layers, but if it's cheaper gouache like I use here, then you might need a few more layers. But I don't mind that because I kind of need those layers to figure out what I want to do and just go back and forth and work with them, but I might try out some better quality gouache in the future as well. And yeah, I'm using mostly gouache by Arteza here. They sent me the gouache, and I already did a review on those on my channel. You can watch this as well if you're interested in that. And here I lost a little bit of footage, but I basically did the same thing with this hill in the front with all those trees, just adding in more texture and making it a little bit darker. And now I'm on the water again, just adding water here, water onto the water, and then I'm again putting some paint on the wet surface to make everything blend together, using it similarly compared to watercolors. And yeah, I'm just going along, adding in more and more. And yeah, I wanted to tell you about my new Skillshare class that is now finished and published. It's about landscape painting as well, but with watercolors. So, in case you don't have gouache, or if you just want to learn something about how to paint with watercolors, go check out my Skillshare class. I will show the intro teaser at the end of this video, so you can make up your mind whether you want to watch it or not. I'd really love to see you over there. I'll link it in the description box down below. And we're on to the painting on the left side again, adding the second mountain, which is even more red. And yeah, I kind of really like those surreal colors. I might do more of these in the future. And you can see that these gouache paints are not completely opaque, but I just went over it and everything was fine. And the water here, it looks like there's blood in it. It's just the mountains reflecting, and I'm basically doing the same thing here again, just doing darker lines on the outside of the water. And here I'm back again on those trees and adding in more lighter colors as well as darker colors. Here I'm basically now adding in all kinds of green tones. I mixed a lot of green tones, going back and forth, mixing everything together until it looked the way I wanted it to be. So just figure out however you like the look of it, and especially because it's gouache, you don't have to get it right away, so you can mess around with it, paint over it again and again. That's it's an advantage of gouache, but it's also a disadvantage because sometimes you can stress over everything and take forever. So if you tend to do something like that, then maybe gouache is not the right medium for you. Maybe you should try watercolors because you're forced to be finished at some point. But yeah, you can see that I added in more shadows, and I'm blending the lighter tones in with the darker tones just by doing more and more of those messy dots. And now I'm adding in some shadows here where the trees meet the water, and yeah, just focusing on the beach area, whatever this is in the background. And now I'm adding in more details to our second mountain on the left painting, just with a slightly darker tone than before. And I'm just doing the same thing that I did with the other mountain here, just adding in some messy lines, and you can't barely notice anymore that the other mountain is shimmering through a little bit. And there were also some darker mountains in the foreground, or hills rather, and I did those with black. But once gouache dries, it's not really black anymore. That's actually something that I don't like so much about it. You can't get huge contrasts because the dark tones dry lighter and the light tones dry darker, so always keep that in mind. And I added in some light reflections and everything on the water, and now I did a moon and some stars, and we're finished. I'm already removing the tape, which is so satisfying, even though it ripped a little bit. And these are the finished pieces. I really hope you like this tutorial, and if you want to see more landscape paintings, then head over to my Skillshare class. I'm gonna show you the teaser now, and we will see each other on August 3rd because I'm taking a little summer break, but after that we will see each other again. So I hope you'll have a nice time until then, and goodbye. Hello there! Since you're here, I guess you're interested in watercolor landscapes and want to learn how to paint them. We're starting off by doing these little ones, and then we're going to move on to a bit bigger pieces, and in the end we're going to paint this one. So I'm going to show you my whole process and share some tips and tricks and some advice with you, and you can learn how to paint your own landscapes. I really want to encourage you to paint your own stuff, but you can follow along my tutorials here. You can use them as inspiration or as a step-by-step guide. It's completely up to you. I really hope that you will enjoy this class and learn things from it. If you have any questions, just let me know, and let me know what kind of courses you would like to see in the future. So I wish you a lot of fun with this course, and let's go!